fell back a little bit in April. Where we're at now is probably to be expected, but still year to date we were up. So it'll be really interesting because we submitted ours last night. It'll be really interesting to see the Metro reports come out for May when they do.
But
so,
do you think the housing starts are a little late coming on? No.
I mean,
okay.
if anything, they were really early. I think what's going to play into account is going to be how this all plays into it, how this whole thing plays into it, because it was the trajectory was going up, and then when COVID hit, I think we're going to start seeing this kind of flat line essentially. So at least that would be my guess.
I printed one for you. Here.
But it's,
I don't know.
we haven't noticed it yet, at least. I think it'll come though. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have to see some effect of it. But,
Well, I was just thinking Marty was a little slow. I don't know.
yeah.
The other guys have been doing service calls, and I haven't been doing service calls.
Yeah.
I just took 3 of them.
And when they get busy, I know I'll get the service calls.
And then taking effect.
Yeah.
That was where I was kind of coming from. I just see.
We'll see. I mean, housing again, who knows? It was up. It's trailed off a little bit, but I hope it doesn't. The bigger thing I think is going to be commercial and all of that, and you know, we haven't traditionally had much commercial down here to begin with, but we had,
You get some.
yeah, some, but just not crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But we had some prospects out there, you know, economic development wise, that we had been talking to, and then this happened, and one of them, you know, was like, oh, we're gonna have to delay it. We're a little bit back on track now. A few people that we were talking to try to, you know, just entice them a little bit, and that kind of just completely stopped for now.
Help our tax base.
Yeah.
So we need to get them on.
Oh yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, and you know, like building across the street for lease now, that's gone down, but yeah.
It'll come around. It's just slow.
Be careful, those mics are hard.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, what's up?
Just a quick question, since it's our first remote meeting. Do I need to read the notice on the front of it, or?
No, you don't need to read.
Okay.
Nope.
I just want to make that clear before you got things started.
You're good.
Okay. Wasn't sure how all the open public meeting rules went with remote meetings, so it's new to me, and I'm sure you guys are starting to get used to it, but haven't had to.
Unfortunately, yeah, we are getting used to this right now. Thankfully for the Board of Adjustment, this should be the only Zoom one we have to do, because we're going to be able, hopefully in July, to kind of get a little bit back to normal stuff.
Sounds good.
We've done 2 of these with the Planning Commission. We'll have one more next week with them as well. So,
And then for signing the minutes, you just want me to swing by your office tomorrow and sign this?
hold off on that. We'll touch base with you.
Okay.
We're still working from home right now, so
Okay. Sounds good.
yeah, we'll touch base with you. If anything, I think we have a meeting for sure next week, so, or excuse me, next month. So we can catch up then.
Yep, or Tim can run out to my office out north of town or something. I can just sign those.
We'll figure it out. As long as you take them for a plane ride.
We can do that. We've been flying. We flew today, so.
Good stuff. I don't know. Do we have, trying to see who's, I don't see Renee on, and I know Marty wasn't going to be here, so
Okay, well, I might have been too.
I would say whenever you're ready.
All right. So I'm taking it Brad's our new committee member.
No, Brian is one of the applicants.
Now Brad.
Yeah,
Everything-
Brad, excuse me, I'm sorry, Brad. Yeah, Brad Evelyn's one of the applicants.
Okay. So I'm just seeing Bill on here besides myself.
And so Jim is here.
Oh, Sullivan's in.
Yep. So we've got 3.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, considering we have a decent agenda tonight, we'll go ahead and get started at 6:01 p.m. I need to read the notice. So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:01. We'll do roll call. I'm trying to see all my members. So Jim Sullivan is here. Marty Miller, Renee Soldwich, and Bill Matee.
Here.
All right. So we have 3 people. We do have a quorum. Next on the agenda is to approve the agenda for tonight. So if I could have a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
I'll make a motion, we accept.
All right. We got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right. And then the next thing is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was held back in February. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read through those. Is there any discussion or questions on that before we make a motion? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February's meeting.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion, second.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. So first thing on the agenda tonight, see, there's minutes from last meeting. All right. Printed everything off. Might be easier just look at my computer. There we go. First thing is to consider a request from Mike Grubel for a variance to permit construction of an accessory building on a vacant lot between 106 North Kenwood Boulevard and 202 North Kenwood Boulevard, to which, if permitted as requested, would not be in conformity with section 165.031 and section 165.102. So I don't think Mike's here to discuss it.
Are you? Is that you? Yes, he is here.
I'm here.
Oh, Mike is here? Okay. Mike, would you like to just present a quick presentation on what your plans are to do with the existing building and what the future of that property will bring?
Basically, I'm just adding on 24 foot to the south side of the building and matching the wall height of the existing building. And then gonna resheet the whole building as one cover and just making better improvement of that building, with make it a more of a storage area with better doors and stuff on it.
Okay, but your height's gonna be,
It's gonna be 12 foot. I'm matching existing walls.
okay. Now, your house next door,
Yes,
is it a 2-story or?
a split foyer. So
Split
it's
floor, so it'll be at that height or?
Yeah. probably a little bit
Lower than
yes.
that, okay, okay.
So I'm curious, couldn't you combine the lots so you do have that principal structure with the accessory structures and not have to go through this process?
If I combine the lots, then it's taxed different. And it's,
Okay.
So it's taxed as a house, I think, if I combine them. So
And Bill, even on that too, we'd still have the variance for the height
Okay.
on that. So that would still stand. Yeah, we talked about that internally too, and just figured since we were going through the variance on the height anyways, that we would run them both concurrently.
Sounds good.
Do you have a plan of what you're planning on doing with the building, Mike?
I got some pictures here I can show what it'll actually look like. Thank you. You want to show that to Wes?
Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Here, I'll see if I can't zoom in on it. All right. Yep. So in essence, it's going to conform with the neighborhood and look like almost like a livable structure
Right, but
rather than like another pole barn.
right, it's gonna be all storage, but I didn't want a big storage building next to my house or in the neighborhood, so dress up the front a little bit, make it look better for everybody.
And then what was the square footage on that building going to be? It's going to be under the permitted structure, Charlie or Tim?
Yeah, with the lot that it's on, it definitely does not take up 30%.
Okay. So it says it's going to be over the 12-foot height. What's the total height of the roof? Do you know that offhand?
Feet of roof height, so the area between the eaves and the peak there.
For the 412 pitch, it'll be probably close to 16, 17.
Okay. Do we have any more questions for Mike before we close the comment period and have a discussion amongst the board?
I don't have any other questions.
I don't either.
If we have no more questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as presented.
Okay, we got a motion.
I'll second that too.
Okay, we got a second. All right, so is there any questions for the board to the city other than, are we ready to vote? So if we don't have any more discussion, all those in favor of presenting or to approving the plan as is, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, voted 3-1, passed unanimously. And then, Michael, you have 1 year on that variance, correct, Charlie, to break ground?
I think that's the approval on it, so. And I'm assuming you'll probably have it up before then, right? Yeah, so.
Okay. I just always try to make that clear to all applicants so they don't have to go through the process again next summer, so.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Second thing on the agenda. All right, it's on to consider a request from Brad and Carmen Everlin for a variance to permit construction of a driveway at 1609 West Fifth Avenue, to which, if permitted as requested, would not be in conformity with section 165.1012.d and section 165.11.8. Brad, since you're on here, if you want to unmute and kind of give us an overview of what your project is.
Basically, we need for one, a place to park our camper. It's not in our regular driveway. And normally we would be putting like a cement or blacktop drive of some kind to do that. And we wouldn't be needing to meet like this. But since we have two sewers that run on the east side of our house through our property there, we have two easements making any kind of a hard surface. You can't do that. So we figure with a gravel, that way they can easily dig through that if some need to get to those sewer lines arise. And that would be the way to go.
So I drove by the property yesterday. I'm guessing the flags that you have in place in the yard, kind of off to an angle to the east of the drive, is where the planned driveway is going to be.
That's what we're wanting to do, yes.
Okay.
They'll get tucked away back in under a tree, and I don't think there'll be any, anything visual that would be unsightful to anybody.
What's the final square footage of the proposed gravel area?
Well, it's approximately 10 feet wide, and I think we measured out about 60 feet, maybe. That's an estimate. I don't have it written down.
That's okay.
Camper's 8 foot wide, so I figured 10 foot would be hopefully enough that I'd be able to navigate it. I'm not that great a driver with the camper yet. It's a trailer.
Charlie, what's your opinion with the easements there that he has with his project?
So looking at the subdivision plat on that, there is a 15-foot public utility easement. I believe that's public utility easement on the side. 15 foot, pretty typical for public utility easement. We just don't typically have them on the side lot lines in more modern day subdivisions. But I mean, we've never created a requirement that I'm aware of that says that you can't put hard surface over it. However, I mean, in the applicant's best interest, if it's a public utility easement and there's a public utility that needs to get through there, there's a great chance that if there was any hard surface road in that 15-foot area there, that they could tear it out and then property owner would have to replace that. But again, from our standpoint, when we look at that, it's only that 15 foot that's on the easternmost property line there, and there's a significant area I think where the driveway's coming through there that would still be unpaved that's not in that easement.
I saw you have some concerns with gravel getting into the sewer systems. Is there some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of preventative measure that the applicant can take to sort of contain it?
The drive doesn't start off of our driveway until probably 40 feet away from the street and the sewer.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing to note definitely. Now just with how the ground could possibly slope, and without looking at it, I can pull up the elevations here on that particular lot, kind of see how it slopes. If it slopes down to the road, you'll still see issues where that does kind of work its way into the street eventually. Especially with harder rainfalls. I mean, preventative measures rather than putting like a berm or something up to possibly stop the gravel. The only issue with that is long-term maintenance, and it's obviously something the city would not maintain that out. So there's concern with that.
Is this going to be seasonal storage for an RV, or is this going to be year round when it's not in use?
Well, that'd be the primary use. Depending on how much we're using it, we may or may not stick it back there between uses during the camping season. But yeah, primarily we wanted to get it out of there during the non-camping season. And I think there's two easements. I didn't understand what Charlie was saying exactly, but I think we actually have two separate sewer lines running through that yard that pretty much cover that whole side yard. One's a storm sewer that's pretty close to our garage, and the other is a sanitary that runs clear down to that new sewer plant south of town. So I think that whole side yard is pretty well covered by easements.
Let me double check on that. I'm looking at the plat that shows easements. Let me see if there's any other ones that we possibly have that I'm not showing here, but
I mean, we'd be glad to put some kind of hard service if we could. We just didn't think we could.
yeah, give me 1 second here. This thing is really slow when it's not directly connected. So if there's any other discussion that you guys want to have, feel free to have it, and I'll get back to you when I get here.
I don't think gravel running down our driveway to the street would be an issue. Anytime there's a hard rain and that sewer right in front of our driveway backs up, the water runs through our yard to the south like a river. So if anywhere the gravel is going, it's going to be out into our yard to the south of the
And I can see that if there's a sewer easement going through there to the south sewer treatment plant, the fall would be to the southeast, more than likely. Without standing there and looking at it stuff, I got it pulled up on Google Earth and looking at it.
water comes down our street from 3 different directions to the street in front of our house. And then once it overruns the sewer, it all starts heading south through our yard.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tim, Charlie, you find that, Charlie?
I was gonna say there may possibly be something there that I'm just not showing on any of the documents that we have on our GIS. But I don't see, there's an easement layer that we have on here. Well, here, hold on one second. Let me turn this one on. Yeah, I still am not showing anything on there. That doesn't necessarily mean there isn't, but at least from the information I have in front of us right here, I don't see one.
Which one are you showing?
The only one I see, there's a public utility easement, a 15-foot public utility easement that runs down on the east side of the property, but I don't see anything else other than that one that's on there.
That would be for the sanitary sewer? Can you tell that?
I mean, it's public utility easement, so it would include sanitary, water, electricity, anything. Typically, public utility easements include the kind of the gamut of any public utilities.
We actually had to have an adjustment or whatever on our house when we built it there. We had to move the house to the west 6 feet or something like that to get off of that storm sewer on the east side of the house. So we had to approve moving closer to the lot line on the west than we were supposed to. And that was back in 1978.
Yeah, and again, not to say it's not there, but without doing an actual total, essentially abstract search on this property, I don't see anything that we have in our system. So, I mean, if there's another easement there, and again, I'm not saying there's not, just with the information I have in front of us at this exact moment, I don't see one.
Well, if that's the problem, I can get our copy of it. Not tonight. Tell it.
So, I mean, looking at where the flags are at, they're at an angle. I'm considering the other people that have campers in their driveways throughout the town. I know of a couple. I've tried to park mine in my driveway. My driveway is not long enough to even park my camper. But if you had one lane off the driveway, parallel to the driveway, it almost seems like you wouldn't be over that 25% hard surface in the front yard. It'd take a little bit more skill and maneuvering getting it in there because you got a pretty deep driveway overall.
I'm pretty sure it'd be over that.
And it's taken up a good percentage of your front yard already because it is a nice long driveway. I think 17% right now.
I think that's what we calculated it at.
Yeah, 17.9 is what it says in the application and the analysis. So,
but I'm pretty sure that would be sitting on top of that storm sewer, or at least the easement for it.
okay.
So I could do that with gravel, I guess, if that would better than what I proposed, but I just thought it would look nicer if I could get it back farther where it wouldn't. People,
Yeah, I'm looking, so, and again, our GIS system as far as utility lines isn't always best. There is a sanitary line that does run parallel to the east line. We do show a storm sewer line that bisects that open area there on the east side a little bit. No easement there. That's not necessarily unique for Indianola. There's a few storm sewers we have that we don't always have utility easements on. But I mean, it's based off the information I can see here, it's almost exactly halfway between the house and the lot line. Actually, if you give me a second on my screen, I can probably screen share what I have here and show you what I'm talking about. If Alex can allow me to do it. It's not working, so I can't do it. But yeah, again, if you look where the existing driveway is and that eastern property line, the storm sewer almost just goes right down the middle, or right halfway in between those two through the property. So, again, yeah, I mean, as far as the Board of Adjustment is concerned on this case, I mean, there's alternatives obviously on that. From what I'm seeing here, and again, without seeing the easement documentation, I don't think if like you said, Wes, if it was kind of parallel on the east side of the existing driveway, where we'd have any issues on that being a hard surface driveway if it went back there, because it looks like that would be outside of where that storm sewer is. But again, I don't show any easements on that, and if there is an easement that I'm not aware of that may prohibit that, then I challenge the applicant just to get us that information, and we can take a look at it. And the other option you do have as a Board of Adjustment, if you want to get more information, if you're not ready to make a decision on this, if some of that easement documentation would be helpful for you, we can delay this a month too and have the decision come forward next month. Give me 1 second here because I should be able to screen share now. Slowly but surely. There we go. Okay, so you can see the property is this one right here. Let me highlight it. Drag this over right here. So this this red line here is the storm sewer. So you can see where it comes off of 5th up here, down, and then kind of towards the end of the house, and then angles back into the park there. So that's the storm sewer line, at least that we're showing. If I can see if I can get some, if we have any information on the actual particulars on it. Nope. Well, yeah, it shows that it's a 24-inch line going through there, so pretty sizable, which is good. It's probably taken a lot of drainage through that area, but pretty sizable line through there. But again, it's located about halfway there. And then this green line, if you can see it, that's next to this blue line, that's a sanitary line that runs down. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yep.
my understanding was that we were close enough to that sewer line with our original positioning of our house that we would be in violation of being too close to it. So that's why we had to move our house 6 feet to the west.
Well, and the other thing, sorry, go ahead.
I'm assuming that if we put an extension to the east of our driveway, we would be in violation of that.
And then the other question is where exactly is that storm sewer line? Sometimes the information that we have in our GIS system isn't always precise either. So this could be a few feet off either way, even more possibly, but that's something that we could take a look at. Just looking at where on the street level there, you got, so, this line's coming here off a manhole. You can see there actually is a manhole there. There also looks like there is one right here that connects. So that information in itself looks like it's somewhat accurate. I don't know how accurate this is. Really, the only way we can do that is to tell it and trace it. So
the concern,
if there is an easement that I'm not aware of, if there's a document out there that shows a storm sewer easement, that would be helpful as well.
the concern is that the drive 30 feet or so away from the street would work its way down my driveway.
You cut out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
I said the concern with the proposal is that gravel could possibly work its way down my driveway 40 feet from the street, the way it's presented.
Yeah, I mean, from our standpoint, that's one concern. The other concern, I mean, we have codes that we have in place that don't allow for gravel driveways to begin with. So you're asking for a variance from that, and that's pretty typical of cities. It was allowable at times, a long time ago, but as we move forward as a city, we're trying to clean up some of that. So allowing it to continue is one thing we're trying to avoid. However, this is the Board of Adjustment. If there is a hardship imposed by that, such as you mentioned with a possible easement being there, that's things that this board looks at. So, but yeah, one of the concerns is that there's a lot of issues that can come up with gravel, as we move along. Bigger ones.
Gravel has a lot of maintenance. You have weed issues, you have settling issues with gravel. We're dealing with that all the time out here at our business. I mean, it's more, that's one of the reasons I think with the gravel going into the storm sewer, which is a major concern. Another one's just aesthetics of overall neighborhood appeal. And I mean, I don't see too many gravel driveways around in, I've seen a few, not many. Nothing that's been
Wouldn't even
in the last 20 years.
that far away, I don't think.
So my overall opinion, looking at the map, you got a 50-foot driveway based on my very accurate Google Earth tape measure, which I don't have a lot of confidence in. I mean, that's pretty sustainable driveway to get about any kind of recreational RV in your driveway. I think there is a good option to put it parallel and not intrude on that easement. The easement, moving the house over, is probably more of a foundation issue with the house than just overall concrete in the yard. So that's kind of my general overlook of it. So is there any other discussions or questions for city staff or the applicant?
I don't think I have any.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion. The city did give us a list of items, and I'll just kind of go through them so everybody kind of knows. The City of Indianola Board of Adjustment can approve the variance as requested. As submitted, the City of Indianola Board of Adjustment approves the request with conditions. Those conditions could include paving it as is, possibly moving it, and the Board of Adjustment can deny the variance as requested, and the Board of Adjustment remains the variance request back to the applicant for the staff for further review and modification, and direct staff to place this item on future Board of Adjustment item. If we're going to do number 4, the applicant's application would still be valid, correct, Charlie?
Yeah,
And so there wouldn't be any more fees or anything to be involved with that. You can send it back to you as a staff. You just review it without any other additions. If you need, that way, if there's another variance requested, There's no more money out of the pocket for the applicant.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And then really the only thing, as long as we had some direction on exactly what you're looking for, if it's, to figure out if there's an easement there, to figure out the exact location of the storm sewer, just so we have some direction, we can get that to you before next month.
Okay. So without any further discussion, I'd entertain a motion based on the four items I listed that was recommended by the staff. So do we have a motion on any one of those? Since I'm the chair, I can't make the motion. I see this being possible, but I see it being possible parallel to the driveway. I also think that if you put it parallel to the driveway, I think we can keep it under that 25% or really close to that 25%. We can keep it away from the storm sewer and everything, so there might not even be an actual need for a variance if you pave it. That's kind of my initial thought, without going out there and taking a tape measure to everything and figuring out square footage.
So then you would essentially table it pending the different review, or would you?
Yeah, I would put it back to the, I would choose number 4 and request the applicant to go back with staff for further review and look at putting in a paved driveway parallel to the driveway. I think it'd be cleaner. It'd tie in with the property better. It'd take a little bit more skill backing it in there, but that'll come with time.
Yeah, that wasn't the concern of not doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would be allowable. I thought it would be too close to the sewer line, the easement.
Yeah, and that's something staff can answer. I think without having a foundation, it shouldn't be an issue because they can dig right up to a concrete pad almost without damaging the pad or any of the subsoil compaction if they need to access that storm sewer.
And
So
without the motion on the table, and I think I understand where you're going, at least the one thing I can say from our standpoint is that if you do table it, we'll work with Mr. Evelyn from here to kind of try to determine exactly where that storm sewer is on the property, take a look at all of that stuff, and then we'll look as well. I mean, we can discuss options as far as easement goes. Like I said, there's nothing that we have that says you can't put a driveway over a storm sewer easement. However, if there's ever a break in that line and we need to get into it, we're going to take that driveway out because we can't work around it. So,
And that comes at the property owner's expense then, right?
yeah, typically that does. So that's something that we don't. And so it's one of those things is you just, buyer beware sort of thing, as if you put a driveway over an easement and we have to take it out, that's back on you. So we'll go over all that information. We'll try to figure out where that line is, try to figure out if there's an actual easement, and we can report back next month.
So in that case, I'll make a motion to table the application to a further meeting pending more review.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any other further discussion? All right, all those in favor of tabling this until the next meeting to get more information on where that easement actually is for the storm sewer and possible other options for that driveway, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, so we've tabled that. The city will take it from here and go through what they need to do to make sure that we can get this, get a little bit more information. So
yeah, Brad, we'll reach out to you either late this week or early next week and kind of go over some stuff.
Thanks for your time, Brad.
Thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda, consider a request from William Busmus for a variance to permit construction of an accessory building on a current vacant lot located between 141 West 6th Avenue and 1109 South K Street to which, if permitted as requested, will not be in conformity with section 165.10.2. So do we have anybody here to discuss this tonight?
No, we don't have, I don't believe anybody's present or when I can see on the Zoom call. One thing to note really quick, because I know Jim asked when he came in, it is quote unquote a vacant lot currently. We do have an active building permit on there for a new single family home that's being built. So in the end, this building will be accessory to a single family dwelling. So I just wanted to make sure that was known, and that's part of the construction. I know in some of the comments that we've been getting from the neighborhood about construction traffic and all that, a lot of that construction traffic has to do with the construction of this home that's being built there. So just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that as we go into on this.
Yeah, and that was one of my questions with that.
Yep.
So it really comes down to the 12-foot variance. And that's about it.
On this one, yes.
And how will the house, is it a 2-story to where this isn't going to tower the house?
Yes. Yeah, it's a rather large house. And I don't know, do you guys recall? I have it here. It's a 2-story house for sure. It's a rather large house. It's valued pretty high too. It's about a $500,000 house. So.
186,000.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's what they said it was worth.
586.
I think it's a little light
What's construction value? So,
for an 8,000 square foot house. Yeah.
so anyways, yeah, that's really light. So this in summary, to answer that question though, the variance is only for the roof height on this one. Wes, I know you had emailed a few questions on that. I don't know if that answers all your questions, but yeah, it's zoned A1. Their intended use is to have a single family that's allowable in the A1 zoning district. So we're good on that. The physical address, we have not officially assigned that yet. We have had discussions. I mean, the address is going to be off that, is it 6th Avenue there? Yeah, 6th Avenue. That's where they're taking access off that. We've had discussions on this particular issue with our attorney going back as far as February on that. We've had, there was a neighborhood complaint out here on this. That was what started it. So they've got frontage along South K Street, and then they also have frontage off that stub on South or 6th Avenue. We can't tell them which one they choose to take access from. That's essentially they're allowed to take access wherever public right of way, wherever they have access to that public right of way. So going from K Street, there is some grade issue and some ditch that they'd have to cross that would obviously increase any sort of construction costs to get access off that. So they've chosen to take access off 6th Avenue. We can't tell them where to take access off of. They've got every right to take access off 6th as anybody else does to access that street.
Okay, yeah, that answers pretty much most of my questions, I believe. So if they're going to take frontage off of West 6th, does that street have to be extended or?
Nope. So they're just coming right off the end of that road. So it's not, they won't have a driveway that's on either side of the road. It's essentially there on the end of the road. You know, it's not the best location for a driveway in most urban settings, but is nothing that we disallow for in code and nothing that we can stop on that. So when we, you know, addressing wise, when we had the preliminary discussions on the address, I know we gave it an address on the, what would technically be on the south side since the house is on the south side. So I can't think if that's an even or an odd right off the top of my head, but yeah, it's fine. You know, the road stubbed in if this property ever develops in the future. Obviously the current property owner is not necessarily looking at developing that for single family, large lot, or excuse me, smaller lot subdivisions at this time. But leaving the road stubbed in obviously allows for that opportunity at some point in the future if it's there.
So I drove back there because you couldn't see it from the road. So I pulled into the drive. I was just kind of scratching my head trying to figure out what I was going back there. It looked like there's a lot of tree clearing and stuff. It's probably for the building's future building site. So I had questions on exactly what the overall intentions were for the property. And that's why where my question stemmed from, because there wasn't any trucks back there, but there was a guy back there working. There's piles of gravel, there's a bunch of trees, wood chippings, all kinds of different stuff back there. So
Yeah, and when we talked, and Tim and I had this discussion this morning on this too, as well as, again, we don't allow for gravel driveways in the city, so we'll have to have a discussion with this property owner at some point and let them know that, because there's a pretty long run of driveway down to that house right now. The other house that was built down in that area takes access off an existing gravel driveway, so that was allowed to remain as it was existing. Our code does specify that, but anything new from here on out, and the new driveway that went in is either going to have to be paved, asphalted, or maybe we're looking at another variance in the future. I don't know.
okay.
But again, yeah, we're given a kind of a brief overview of the entire project that's happening on this parcel. The item in front of you this evening is just for a variance to the height requirement.
What's the overall size of the building they're planning on building? That wasn't in.
And that's the other thing too, and Bill had asked that today as well. We don't have plans for it. I think, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong in this, what happened was there was a discussion that took place with Tim on what exactly hey, we want to build this shed as part of this building. Here's what we're looking at. Tim asked what the roof height was. They said it was going to be over that 12 feet. Do you recall what it was?
Like 18 feet.
Yeah, like 18. So 18 feet. And Tim said, oh, it's going to take a variance. And then all of a sudden we got a variance application in on it. So no, we haven't received specific plans about it. So, and I've some of the variances I've, at least in my career, received. You don't always get that sometimes before they get too far along and getting the design or something like that. They want to make sure they're able to even build it at a height, so they ask for the variance first.
So they're 18 foot's the kind of the estimate for the building height.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we were to make a motion, can we put a cap on the height of the building? Since we don't really, can we say, the building cannot exceed 18 foot?
Yeah, it's you can conditionally approve any variance, so that would definitely work. I'm trying to see, I have the house plans here too, and if that helps, I'm just trying to pull those up real quick to see if it indicates how tall the house is. Yeah, they don't mark the actual height on here, just elevations of what the house will look like, unless there's somewhere else,
That's the, pull it back up. So that the house is facing north, that right there. So the accessory building is behind that.
Okay.
Will be behind the house.
That's what I was told.
Did you catch that, Wes?
No, what was that?
The accessory building is going to be on the south side of the house. So you won't be able to see it, I guess, from 6th Avenue. You'll just see the house.
Okay.
It will be behind it.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm trying to see if I can share here again. I'll show you the plans that we have for the house, the elevation. So this is the rear elevation right here. So this would be the side facing south, and the front elevation right here would be the side facing north.
That's pretty impressive. It's a nice one.
Yeah,
Are there different accessory structure requirements for A1 district as opposed to a standard residential district, or is it just they fall under the same category of accessory structure regulations?
Yep, they're the same regulations. We have a supplemental in our zoning ordinance for accessory buildings. It's something that we need to change, and since we are now done with the comp plan, that we are starting the process of making some ordinance changes. So,
Welcome to my life, Charlie.
I know we've talked.
Looking at their house plans, I don't know why I'd want to have it kind of a, makeshift accessory building next to a house like that. I'm sure that accessory building is going to be built very well and tie into the building that they plan on building. So,
Yeah, given the size of the lot, I'm not terribly concerned about a height limitation.
yeah, it's back away from any visible road and from a passing passerby on a dead end street.
It's, yeah, given that, you know, the zoning district too, and kind of, I think it would kind of fit in.
You know, and I understand the concerns from the neighborhood under current conditions, but that's short term.
Yeah.
And construction happens. It's you know, part of life of living in the city.
Yeah, it's going on behind my house right now, or getting ready to. So, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Again, we have the 4 options, just like we always have. So I'd entertain a motion on the variance for the height of the structure.
And I'll make a motion that we accept that height with a 18-foot limit.
Okay, we got a motion for accepting it with the conditions of a 18-foot max height. Do we have a second?
I'll go with it. Sure.
Okay, we got a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Variance passes unanimously. So switch back over here to my board meetings. Whoa. Trying to get used to the system here. All right. With no other items on the agenda, is there anything from any of the board members or staff?
Nothing from us. I know, I think we did get an application in for next month, so we'll have to discuss that one and should be having a meeting next month.
And then possibly the table, Brad and Carmen Evelyn back on the agenda for next month.
Yep, and that one too as well. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll look at the options on that one. If there's a way we can have him.
Could you maybe include a sort of a site plan for the driveway with Brad?
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. No, and you know, I know there was a few questions on this today too. That's part of the thing that we've been looking at from staff level. We actually were pretty close to putting together some updated application forms, submittal requirements and stuff like that before COVID hit. I absolutely hate using COVID as an excuse for reasons things aren't getting done, but this is a legit reason to why we haven't updated a lot of our applications since then. Since we've all been working from home, it's been really difficult to do. So we're hoping to get our applications updated, some better submittal requirements for that. And so, you know, when you guys are making your decision here, that you've got a little bit more information in your packet. So hang with us, we'll get there eventually. And we're hopefully going to be working from our offices here in the next couple weeks. So
Yeah, I think we're looking at July 1 to sort of go back to normal.
it's
What is, I'm gonna pull up my calendar here quick next week with, I guess, 4th of July. So July 1st will be our first meeting.
yeah,
Next month.
because July 3rd is on a Friday. So yeah, July 1st would be your meeting.
Okay, because I know there was some confusion last year because of the way the 4th fell. And
Yeah, we
holidays
moved
for the
it. I
state.
remember, yeah, last year, I want to say it was July 3rd. I know we hit a leap year, but I think July 3rd was on a Wednesday and then July
Yep.
was on a Thursday. So we tried to move it back a week just so we didn't have the holidays conflicting with anybody.
Yeah, I think last year was July 3rd and we moved it up a day and there was some confusion there.
Yeah, I do recall that though.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. July 1st is the next meeting. And we don't get cobbled up in something else, you know, some other confusion, not have the applicant there. So
The other thing I would note, sorry, I should have mentioned this too. Marty Miller's term was up coming here in July, and he did inform me this morning that he does not want to be reappointed just because he's getting pretty busy with some stuff right now. So we're going to have a vacancy on the board. Just if anybody knows of anybody looking to be appointed, just encourage them to get an application in. We'll work with our clerk's office to see if there's any applications sitting out there right now. You know, gender balance is always a thing. So another female would be great. Gender balance is, as long as we're trying to achieve gender balance, that's the most important thing. If we only have one applicant and it's a male, we can accept it. So.
Sounds good.
Well, with no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we got a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.
See you
51.
guys later. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.